Nas versus Jay-Z, the greatest rap beef ever. In the world of hip-hop, rivalries are nothing new, but some go beyond competition. They define an era. And in the early 2000s, two lyrical giants, both from New York, both kings in their own right, clashed in what became the most legendary feud in rap history. Nas versus Jay-Z. This wasn't just about who had better bars. It was a war for the crown, a battle for the soul of New York hip-hop. And it all began long before the first diss track dropped. It started back in the mid-1990s. Nas had already been crowned the prodigy of Queensbridge. His debut album, Illmatic, dropped in 1994 and instantly changed the landscape of rap. Every line was poetry, gritty, vivid, timeless. Critics called him the future of lyricism. He was respected, untouchable, and for a moment seemed destined to be the voice of New York. Meanwhile, across the bridge in Brooklyn, a hustler named Sean Carter, Jay-Z, was quietly carving out his own legacy. His debut, Reasonable Doubt, came in 1996, filled with street wisdom and ambition. Jay wasn't just a rapper. He was a businessman, a strategist. While Nas was hailed as a lyrical prophet, Jay was positioning himself as the next empire builder. In the beginning, there was no open hostility. Jay even admired Nas's work. On Dead Presidents, Jay sampled Nas's voice, "I'm out for presidents to represent me." But while Jay saw it as a tribute, Nas didn't exactly feel flattered. Some in Nas' camp felt Jay was using his voice and energy to elevate his own record. And then came the missed studio session. Jay had wanted Nas on his track Bring It On. Nas never showed up. Maybe it was scheduling, maybe it was ego. Either way, the gap between them started to widen. By the late 90s, Biggie Smalls was gone, and the throne of New York was empty. Everyone knew it, and both Nas and Jay wanted it. The tension grew slowly, through subliminals and rumors. Jay dropped Volba 2, Hard Knock Life, becoming a commercial juggernaut. Nas released I Am and Nostradamus, but neither hit the same way as Illmatic. Critics started whispering that Nas had lost his edge, while Jay's star was rising fast. Then came the moment that would light the fuse. Summer Jam, 2001. Jay-Z performs an unreleased track that would go down in history, Takeover. He spits, "Ask Nas, he don't want it with Hav, no!" That single line sent shockwaves across the hip-hop world. When the blueprint dropped later that year, the full version of Takeover hit like a bomb. Jay broke it down with surgical precision, dissing Nas's discography, mocking his sales, and suggesting that Nas was a washed-up legend. One was Nah, the other was Illmatic. That's one hot album every 10-year average. For many fans, that was it. Jay had won. The energy was too strong, too confident. But Nas wasn't done. Not even close. December 2001, Nas drops Ether. The first words? "Fuck Jay-Z," the entire track? Pure fire. Nas didn't just respond, he attacked with venom, sarcasm, and sharp, almost surgical disrespect. He mocked Jay's look, his personality, even his identity. He flipped Jay's own takeover confidence back on him. You a fan, a phony, a fake, a pussy, a stan. The word ether became a new verb overnight. To ether, someone meant to completely destroy them, lyrically, spiritually, publicly. Radio stations played it non-stop. Hip-hop fans debated endlessly, but the streets were clear. Nas had landed a nuclear strike. Jay fired back quickly with Super Ugly, bringing up sleeping with Nas's ex and crossing personal lines. The backlash was immediate. Even Jay-Z's mother told him to apologize. And he did. On Hot 97, live on air. At that moment, the perception shifted. Nas had restored his crown. But what's wild is that this beef didn't end in bitterness. It evolved into something greater. Over the next few years, both rappers continued to take subtle shots. Nas dropped Last Real Nenchi Alive, where he broke down the entire conflict with maturity and perspective. Jay followed with Blueprint 2, throwing a few more jabs, but the tone was changing. The hostility had cooled. Then in 2005, the impossible happened. Jay-Z, now president of Def Jam, brought Nas out on stage during his I Declare War concert. The crowd went insane. The two shook hands, performed together, and officially squashed the beef. Jay later signed Nas to Def Jam, and they recorded collaborations like Black Republican and Success. From enemies to partners, from rivals to icons. Looking back, the Nas versus Jay-Z feud wasn't just a rap battle, it was a cultural turning point. It tested egos, redefined competition, and reminded the world what true lyricism sounds like. Both men walked away with something priceless: respect. Jay-Z went on to become hip-hop's first billionaire, building businesses and shaping the industry. Nas, once counted out, made a historic comeback and continues to drop critically acclaimed music decades later. The term "ethered" still lives today, born from this very feud. And the lessons it taught still echo through hip-hop. Iron sharpens iron. Real greatness is forged in battle. Nas versus Jay-Z wasn't just rap beef, it was rap history.